Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson. Welcome to Living Regret Free, a program that shows you how to live a better and more joyful life. As an added bonus, I invite you to listen to an introduction to my Mindset Matters program, which ties into this so well. Go to www.sobmindset.com. It's free, and I know you will enjoy it. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. We have a wonderful guest with us today. Her name is Hilary DeCesare. She is an award-winning entrepreneur, an executive coach, CEO of the ReLaunch Company, a featured speaker in the Silicon Valley and conferences nationwide, as well as a philanthropist. She's made it her commitment to help people reach new heights in life, their career, and relationships. And having faced setbacks herself, she has a unique understanding of how to help others by providing actionable steps to successfully relaunch using transitions to create life-changing transformations. And her attitude is to find the silver lining. And Hilary, I just found out, because you were among some of my friends, that you were on The Secret Millionaire. So tell us a little bit about that, and welcome to the show.
Oh, well, thank you so much, and I am so excited to be on here, Gail. This is super fun for me. It was a very interesting experience when I was first contacted by The Secret Millionaire. I thought, I didn't like the name of the show. I thought, what does this have to do with, that is relevant and philanthropic and important in helping spread, this idea of a relaunch to so many different people out there. And what I realized was, although the name is not exactly, on point, it does have a wonderful philanthropic support system behind it. And what they do is they take people that are entrepreneurs and other types of folks, and they put them into an environment where we get to highlight some unknown people that are doing amazing things and be able to share their entire journey, their missions. And then at the end of the show, we get to, within our own pocketbooks, give them money to move on and spread the word even further. And so I have to tell you, it's really come full circle, because I did that show, I think I did it maybe, and I am still, out of the three that there were four, out of the four, I am still in direct contact with three of the fabulous people I met. One spoke at my wedding. Another one, I'm doing a 7-day Unstuck challenge right now. And the charity that we are giving to is Love in the Mirror, which I highlighted on that show. So you talk about, when things are really impactful for you, how they come full circle.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know that a couple of my other friends were secret millionaires, and they were like you, what is this all about? We give away our own money, and we have to not live in the best of conditions. But each of them felt exactly how you do. That you did it for a wonderful cause, that you've continued the cause, that you've continued the contact, and that's, of course, what makes it all worthwhile. So talk about why you started ReLaunch.
Well, I'll tell you, it's fortuitous in so many different ways, because the reason that I initially started ReLaunch is that I was noticing a lot of incredibly successful women and men that were doing very well in their jobs were really struggling with other areas of their life. And I decided that, given my own situation where I had had companies and I had worked in the corporate world and I had been coaching for almost 20 years now, I realized that I could give the best coaching advice to people, and they could start to execute it in their businesses, but something would happen. So we might come up with a strategy to, let's say, take it into the European marketplace or take it abroad somewhere. And next thing you know, it was moving really well towards getting it over into international areas, and then it would hit a wall. And I would really dive into understanding why. 9 out of 10 times, it came down to that either the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the husband, the wife, they were struggling with. And there wasn't this home-life balance where people were, supporting each other. It was almost, on the verge of, hey, my marriage is about to fall apart. If I keep traveling, I'm going to lose my spouse. Or, hey, I'm going through a divorce right now. I really can't do that. So what I realized is that there's a lot of coaches out there. There's a lot of these gurus, these people that are saying, you got to love your life and love your job and love, your career and all these different things. Well, I got to tell you, what I soon realized is that a lot of people couldn't get to that place of loving their life right away. They had to start with liking it. They had to like themselves before they could love themselves. And so that's when it all of a sudden, the bells went off, the trains came in, and I realized I had to start a company around relaunching people after they're going through some type of transition. It could be divorce, it could be losing your job, it could be selling your company. I had just had an example of this where somebody sold their company and, made hundreds of millions of dollars and felt incredibly shallow and lost after they did. And you would sit there and say, oh my gosh, how's that possible? How's that possible? Well, when the goals and the outcomes are not aligned with what you ultimately believe they should be, then you have this sense of loss almost, your loss of the identity. Like, I don't have the company anymore. So whatever transition you're going through, we have a process, the ReLaunch Effect, and we take people through this so that they can really do a massive reset and be able to almost, if you think about it, reclaim themselves and then relaunch into this new quality of life that only they can reimagine. Not you, not me, not, a therapist, but it has to come from within.
Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, you mentioned a couple of things that I truly believe in. As I was saying to someone else, my mom taught me very early on that I had to be able to look in a mirror and say, I like you, before I could like anybody else or love anybody else or even myself. So I was taught that at an early age. I was very lucky as far as that's concerned. The other thing is, money makes things easier, but it doesn't necessarily make things always better. So again, it depends on your definition of success. What is success to you? To a lot of people, it's having a happy home life and a healthy family. So to other people, it's achieving something in the corporate world. In somebody else, it's creating an invention that's going to save the world. So it's different for different people. And you mentioned something that, you sell your company and there's millions of dollars involved. And then, who am I now? And of course, that is happening a lot when people lose their job because they define themselves by their title. And that's what happens when a lot of people retire without a plan. They say, well, what am I going to do now? And that's when they get active on HOA boards and drive everybody else crazy. So, but you've been through a lot from what I understand. So how do you keep yourself so positive?
So it really is a lifetime journey. I mean, when I look at the relaunches that I've been, they're no different than anyone else's. I just happen to get hit with a lot of them at one time. So initially, I had been through a divorce and I had 3 young kids that, I'm running a company at that point. It was an internet security company for kids, and I was traveling all around, and I had melanoma. I got, super sick. I got these, crazy things that happened with my children. And I realized, oh my gosh, what am I creating here? What is this existence? And then in starting to put together this concept of like, if I were to run my life as the entrepreneur of myself, like if I really think about being the CEO of me, I thought to myself, I'm doing a lousy job. This company is failing miserable. Me, I'm failing. And so by really looking at myself through that lens, I thought, what can I do to improve each one of the areas, each one of those critical pillars that would be so important? And so fast forward to about a year ago, and I've been doing ReLaunch for a few years now, and it's, again, based on all of my experiences of coaching CEOs, coaching entrepreneurs. And I got hit with, my mom ended up with terminal cancer and came and lived with me. My youngest daughter was going off to college, so I was about to become an empty nester. I had my own medical situations that had come up that, came out of left field. I ended up, my daughter ended up going to study in Rome, of all places, and with everything going on in life over the last, 4 or 5 months, you can understand that probably Rome's not exactly where you want your youngest child to be, but she ended up in emergency surgery, so I was over there for a few weeks, came back and decided after 25 years, this is a perfect time for me to sell my house. The house that I built, the house that the kids were in, put it on the market, and 2 days after it was on the market, we had shelter in place. And it was just one of these things that I thought, okay, I could keep going. It started to be like, all right, universe, what else? What else? Just bring it on, because I am validating that the ReLaunch Effect actually is working, because I would be 6 feet under if I didn't have that formula. If I wasn't using the steps that I was coaching on in my programs, in my podcast and everything, I would not have been able to deal with it, because it just was like I was in the ring. I was in that boxing ring, and I was just, getting pummeled right and left. And so I realized that, as I'm seeing hundreds and hundreds of people go through this right now with, people are losing their job. There's not a single person that I have come in contact with that in some way, shape, or form is not seeing a major relaunch in their own life. Not one. And that's what makes this so relevant now. I feel like it's like tried and true. This process is, we've been doing this. We've been seeing these amazing, awesome results. There's not a day that I don't wake up and I check my DMs and people are either saying, Hilary, this is what's happened to me since, I've been going through your program, or, hey, Hilary, I'm on the brink. I don't know what to do. I'm so stuck. I'm so on autopilot. I don't know how to get off of it. I don't even know the first step. And so I think that now more than ever, and, I'm a firm believer that, we only are given what we can handle. It started when I was given twins right out of the gates. When my ex-husband and I started to try for kids, it's like, bam, I'm like, twins. Wow. But, it just starts there, and we somehow get through it. And you mentioned earlier, I do look at the silver lining, and I have to say, and I know this is going to come across, I work with a lot of people who've had really, really awful things happen to them. Awful things like, having a mom die after, 14 months in a terrible battle. I've had, cousins, commit suicide. I've had really, some really tough things. My clients have had, far worse. But I got to tell you that always, there hasn't been one case where if we really dig deep into whatever happened, that you became stronger. You can go back to that person who went through that experience and commend them, congratulate them, because they got you through it. And that's part of the process of what we really are, looking at when we talk about silver linings. Silver linings in people's deaths, silver linings in job losses where all of a sudden something else came up, people who've tried to figure out their purpose in life. And it's like, God, I keep getting knocked down. And then all of a sudden they get an opportunity to have, to do something. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is what I really, truly should be doing. So there are silver, and I'm sure just thinking about your own life, Gail, you look back on situations at the time when you're in them, they're horrible. You're drowning. You're in quicksand. You feel like this is never going to end. And then all of a sudden you realize, I got through it. I'm my own, I call it my own Wonder Woman of strength, right? That's
it's like we're strong. Yeah, well, we become stronger for it. But you have some really simple steps that you say our listeners can take right now so that they're able to relaunch, because they really, really need it, Hilary. I mean, people have lost their jobs. They've lost their businesses. They're losing their homes. People don't know if their kids are going to go back to school. They don't know if they can go back to work because they don't know where to put their kids. So what are some of the simple steps that our listeners can take?
So what I like to do, and I mentioned earlier that we have a 7-step, 7 days, 7 minutes to get you relaunched. And so I think the easiest is to think of the word relaunch. Think of that word as the foundation. And if you break down every letter of relaunch, you go through the R, which is reimagine. Sometimes we get so stuck in the past that we can't even get clarity on where we're going. And, if you have, all paths will lead to wherever you're focused on, right? And so what we want to make sure we're doing is really understanding, what do we really want? What do we really want? Not just in one area. A lot of times we focus in that one area and it's like we put the other ones aside. I've got, women that come to me and say, my gosh, I got divorced 10 years ago and I can't believe I'm still single. And I said, well, what have you been focused on? And, well, I've been focused on the kids and I've been focused on everybody except myself. So I want you to now have an opportunity to, you get it. You get to do a reset. That the button, the big red button, push it. It's the reset button, and right now it's happening. Then for the E in relaunch, it's your energy. And you had said, Hilary, how do you remain positive? Well, just like putting on your shoes and going and starting to train for a 5K or a 10K or those that are really, adventurous, half marathon or more, you have to start slowly. And what I think we do is we get caught up in the negatives, right? All the negatives that are happening. And so what we have to do is initially just focus on that one thing. What is one thing right now in your life that's actually going well? And I want you, there is going to be one thing, and it might just be that, hey, I'm alive. Like, it could be anything. But then I want you to really lean into the feeling around that and being grateful around that and amplify that. And I love that word amplification, because when you start to amplify something, it grows. And so you think of it as being a seed inside of you. And I'm doing a challenge right now in one of my membership groups, and it's about go green. Go green from the inside. Go green with that little seed. Plant it. That one simple step, that one thing that you're going to cultivate for the month. So that is now moving us into the L. And, as you said with your mom, you gotta like yourself so that other people can like you, so that you can love yourself so that other people can love you. And it's all one and the same. And so I sit there and I say, you gotta love, and I say it, love me up. And that's what everyone needs to say, love me up. And the way to do that is to acknowledge yourself. Acknowledge yourself as this strong person, man, woman, and that you have gotten where you are with You're the weeble wobbles, but you keep getting up because of what you've done, because you've gone through it. And by the way, loving yourself up means going back to those times when you were 13, when you were 22, when you were, whatever those times are in your life, which we have many, many relaunches, and go back and think about that kid, think about that young adult, think about that young man, young woman, and literally love them up inside because they're still in you. You've just kind of put that hey, I got that wall up, and I'm telling you, instead of jumping over the walls right now, I want you to start to break down the walls. I want you to start thinking about it as, hey, I know you're in there. I know you're in there. I know, Gail, you're in there, and I'm giving you a little self-love. I'm saying, hey, I'm going to love you up right now. So then we move into A, and that is acknowledge where you are, and then you've got the ability, to set your new identity. And guess what? It's not who your parents wanted you to be. It's not who your friends thought you should be. Oh, I always thought that, you were going to do this. It's not that. It's not, your teachers. It's not your peers. It's who do you want to be. And acknowledge that new identity. It goes back to, as I mentioned, the gentleman that just sold his company. And he now is, feeling finally after we've gone through the ReLaunch Effect, he's like, oh my gosh, my identity was caught up in, I have one really, really great story around this, not the same gentleman, but a different person.
Unfortunately, we have less than 5 minutes left, Hilary, so I'm going to have to speed you up a little bit. So,
U is for understand you, N is for never doubt your power, and, do it one small step, that next step. C is create confidence from competence, like you've got to get confident, and people are like, how do I do that? We got you covered. And H is that happiness is within. It's not from anybody else. It's within you. That's what it all is about.
Well, those steps are not complicated. You just have to do them. And that's the important thing, is to be able to look inside yourself and do those things, because you're not asking anybody to build a rocket ship. You're asking people to just look within themselves and really acknowledge what's going on. So that's really brilliant. So let me ask you something, Hilary. Where can people get a hold of you? I don't know if you have a gift for anybody. Where would you like people to reach out to you?
Oh, I definitely have a gift for your audience. And since I just raced through that, you actually can, if you're listening to this, go to the ReLaunchCo.com, the ReLaunchCo, just co.com. And on there, it will allow you to sign up for the 7-day How to Get Unstuck challenge. Again, it's 7 minutes. And the greatest part is everything I just did. We give you these short little exercises that each day you can actually do. And when you go in there, I'm going to give you a code, and it's just put collective friend, collective, because we have a membership group called the Collective. So it's just collective, not just collective friend, and you will get it for free. And if you want to pay it's $7, and like I said, the $7, 100% is going to that charity that I mentioned. There's 2 there that you can go ahead and pick. So super, super excited to have your audience join us in that journey as well.
Wonderful. Well, folks, you got it. It's, where you can reach Hilary, and the important thing is that you really take advantage of the offer that she's just giving you, because the collective is important. She's at the launchco.com. I want to remind you, if you're looking for me, I'm at spunkyoldbroad.com. My programs are at sobuniversity.com. And if you're over 50, I've got the virtual SOB Club on Facebook. So we'd love to have you there. And if you're looking for a gift for me, just send me an email or go on my website and just put in the subject line show, and I'll know that you're listening, and I will send you a gift. So, Hilary, this has been fantastic. And to know you're doing all of this good work, and there's philanthropy at the end of your mission, is better than anything at all. And to know that you're still in touch with the people that you dealt with on the Secret Millionaire is a blessing. I think that's wonderful. And give them again your website and how to find you.
Absolutely. So you can go to www.therelaunchco.com.
Very simple. Co. Just know it's CO. That's all you have to do. Oh, boy.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much, Hilary. It has been a delight and a revelation for a lot of people to know it isn't that hard. You just have to do the work. It's as simple as that. So thank you so much for being with us today, and best wishes on all of your philanthropy, and I hope you collect a lot of money for your causes. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on your show. It was really fun.
Hi, this is Dr. Gail, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I choose my guests carefully, so if you have someone you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out my intro program, Mindset Matters, at www.sobmindset.com. See you next week.